Those who are above the ideal weight and want to lose some pounds can end up feeling a little bit lost in the middle of this crazy amount of diets out there, each one promising more than the one before. And that is why our first evidence-based medicine video addresses the question, what is the best diet to lose weight? My name is Seiichi Arata of NatoGood.com, and this video will be divided into two parts. The first one has a more simplified language for the general public, for the people who actually want to drop a couple of pounds. The second part is a chance of dialogue with scientists and professionals in the fields of medicine, nutrition, sports, fitness, people who actually work in the field and are interested in what evidence-based medicine has to tell us. So let's go to the first part, which is pretty simple to understand and quite practical as well. Until now, we had to rely on those statements of authors who would claim, my diet is better. No. My diet helps so much more to lose weight. And these would be mostly anecdotes, little stories. Until recently, we didn't really have a comparative study of quality comparing different types of brand diets. And the news is that a few months ago, a scientific study was published, one that has gathered weight loss results of 7,286 individuals comparing 11 famous diets. And they did an extensive analysis of all scientific reports that they found in several controlled experiments, and they were using several mathematical processes to compare the results of one diet with another. This is called a meta-analysis, a study of different studies. So what was the result? Do you want to know what is the best diet of all? Well, get yourself ready. On average, it doesn't matter. And that's right. That's the bottom line. At the end, the examined diets are not so different one from the other when you look at the statistical average of how much weight was lost. As a practical implication, there are two things that I would like to say. First one, the most important is what works for you. Diets on average are very alike, so what really makes the difference is your ability to adjust yourself to that diet in specific. There are some that are going to tell you to do stuff that you don't really like, or may take away that special dish that you love so much. And this means that if it's not feasible for you to be consistent, you will not be able to keep yourself in the long run doing that, and you won't be able to harvest results. The second thing is, please totally ignore whenever there is a diet book or some friend of yours telling that this is the best diet ever. That does not exist. Each person is different, so you have to find the losing weight method that suits you better. In other words, what really matters is the ability to actually do it. I get emails from many people saying, Seiichi, I'm going to do diet A and drop more than 20 pounds and I still have a bunch to lose. But the problem is that this diet gets me constipated and I have a really hard time. Other people say, Seiichi, I'm doing diet B. It tells me to avoid this food that I love so much. At the end of the day, I just can't even. What I really want is to have that thing. I can quit other stuff. In other words, it is useless to choose a diet that is so strict that you will be unable to commit yourself to it, getting no results at all. What really makes the difference is actually following the diet in the long run. And the most important thing is to be coherent. That is why I particularly don't like diets, and I think that the big mistake that they make is to treat everybody equally. You see, you just open those diet books, and there is already those suggestions like Monday you have to have a breakfast of a half-boiled egg, a spoon of cottage cheese, and just a half cup of jelly. It is even worse when they tell you to buy some weird food that you have never seen before, some exotic stuff that is not available in the nearest supermarket where you go, or maybe if they do have, it's quite expensive. It makes you want to cry. It's like a prison. What I believe in is in food education, which allows us to know what good food is actually going to look like and what is the type of food that we want to avoid. In this context, this scientific study that I brought to you was the crucial one to smash this myth. Now, you can say it is scientifically proven. I'm going to say this out loud. There is no best diet because statistically they get all similar results. What everyone needs to know is to find a method that we will be able to follow in the long run. And here's my special tip for you. Instead of looking for diets, you can look for food re-education. So then you can find the type of nutrition that makes more sense to you, the one that you will be able to follow throughout all your life in order to have a healthier life. And to do so, I invite you to visit naturgood.com. This is the place where we'll have many content and videos precisely about food re-education. Now let's go to the transition. Very well. Now here comes the second part of our video, evidence-based medicine. This is for the professionals who are working with health, who are interested to know a little bit more about the research that we have mentioned in the first part of the video. So what type of research was that? Okay, so if you're still here, you can take a look at the JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association. For most people, this is not going to be easily available. You need to have access to that journal through your institution. And if you do have, you can go to volume 312, number 9, and then you can open the study conducted by Bradley C. Johnson, whose title is Comparison of Weight Loss Among Named Diet Programs in Overweight and Obese Adults, a Meta-Analysis. And I found it very interesting to bring this study for us because even though it is not an absolutely revolutionary discovery, it has everything to do with evidence-based medicine. This is a study that crystallizes through a scientific outlook some of the ideas that used to be mere anecdotes. In other words, there is no miraculous diet out there. And what actually makes the whole difference is the patient's ability to keep himself committed to the regimen. Considering that we are living in times with so much marketing and so many exaggerated claims, I think that it is a noble intention to clarify this to the general public because most people are just trying to find what is the best possible diet to lose weight. And this research here is a systematic review and network meta-analysis that has used 48 controlled and randomized clinical trials, and until now, we didn't have any study similar to this one. The main result measured was the total of weight that was lost during periods of 6 and 12 months. And the data showing here that both low-carb and low-fat diets were both able to lose around 8 kilograms when compared to no diet at all. But here is a detail that is a limitation in this kind of research. The analysis is based on the original intent of the experiment's planning and not on what actually happened in the real world with the patients. So they are not taking into consideration those moments when the patients had a tiny break in their different plans, and they only compared the final results obtained among the different groups. And this is actually a classic discussion about efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency is the ideal measured result in the ideal situations with 100% adherence, doing everything very, very correctly according to the plan. Effectiveness is what actually happens in the real world, so it takes into account the difficulty of sticking to the plan. So long story short, since these statistical differences among the different diets are quite small, what is more important for you guys who are the health professionals is to know that they should put more focus on the type of guidance that actually works best for the patients. That's what I've been sharing with you in the first part of the video. There is no single best diet out there that is better than everything else in absolute terms. What actually exists is different profiles of people, and some of them will work better with a particular approach rather than with the other. So the diet should present little challenges and few obstacles. So then you can have adherence, and then the plan will be able to be followed through. The plan cannot be complicated. If it is too difficult to implement, it is a doomed to fail plan. There is a positive aspect of this study, which is the sensitivity analysis of the data, and that's one way to make sure that the studies considered in this meta-analysis have the proper quality. And how did they do it? First, they established their own criteria, and they concluded that from all those 48 trials that they had, 60% of them met a very rigorous criterion. They had a very low risk of bias or some sort of a methodological weakness. So let's say that that was the cream, the top part of the study. Then they used the same numbers of these high-quality samples and they compared them with the general outcome of the meta-analysis, which comprised all the trials. And then they looked and they noticed that the numbers were not so different. This is an additional method to prove that the whole study was really trustworthy. And another point which I think is worth to underline from this study is that in the declaration of interests, the members of the research group don't have any vested interests in the field of obesity, because the study's funding came from the Canadian Institute of Health and the Public Health Agency of Canada, and the team's expertise is mainly methodological. So precisely because they are experts in methodology and they don't work closely to any group or any activity related to weight loss, the possibility of them having any bias to this study is quite small. The team's strongest point is the analysis of the numbers. Personally, I think that it's very important to have something like this whenever we analyze some scientific study, because unfortunately it is very hard to find quality research that doesn't have any type of bias. So, this was our first video on evidence-based medicine, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and if you want to see similar videos, you can click the like button below. This is very helpful, but also feel free to click the dislike button if you didn't like, and you can explain the reason to do so. Our intention here is to keep learning and improving. You can also subscribe to our new channel in order to keep getting new content. And about the details of the scientific research that we analyzed today, you can also go to the link here, because I'll be adding all the details of this study. And my name is Seicharata from NatToGood.com.